Happy Easter. Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Do you like open endings? Open endings to films, books and the like? Or do you like everything to be neatly drawn together, all the loose ends tied up and a nice, neat ending? If you prefer the nice, neat ending, you might be somewhat disappointed in how Mark leaves his account of Jesus' life and ministry. We've journeyed through Holy Week with Mark, from the entry into Jerusalem, riding on a donkey in lowly pomp, in humility, announcing the kingdom of God, and in contrast to the grand entry of Pilate, representing the power of empire. We've journeyed through the confrontation with the powers of the age, the Roman Empire and the Jewish elite, or perhaps the powers behind the powers, and the Last Supper, through to a brutal public execution, death and burial, defeated by the domination system, crushed by the power of the Roman Empire. Or so it seemed. All seemed lost. The followers of Jesus had seen their hopes shattered. Their plans and aspirations were in tatters. But Mark tells us, as do the other three gospel writers, that something remarkable happened on the third day after Jesus was put to death as a criminal, an insurgent on a Roman cross. It's said that the darkest hour is just before the dawn. Just when all hope seemed lost, God, it seemed, snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. Mark tells us that three women go to the tomb where Jesus had been laid. They find two messengers or angels who ask them why they are looking for Jesus and that he's been raised to life. And the messengers show the women the empty tomb, leaving the women trembling and bewildered. Victory snatched from the jaws of defeat. And we have a hope because of Jesus' victory. And it's a sure and certain hope that Jesus is, as the Apostle Paul describes him, the first fruits of God's renewing and remaking of all things. Because Jesus was raised to life, so shall we be. We shall be changed, transformed, renewed, rebooted, if you like, and our world will be too. And how we need a reboot right now in our world. We won't find many clues in Mark's account as to what this will all look like, because Mark leaves the story, well, he leaves it hanging really. Mark includes no post-resurrection appearances of Jesus. And if we're unhappy or uncomfortable with this, we're not alone. At some point, probably in the late 1st or early 2nd century, perhaps a few decades after Mark wrote his account, someone felt that his account was somewhat incomplete and they wrote an ending. In fact, not one but two alternative endings to Mark's account can be found in later manuscripts of Mark's Gospel. But it wasn't that Mark didn't know what happened on that Easter morning after the women found the tomb empty, or that Mark didn't know about Jesus' appearances after God brought him back to life. Mark wanted to leave the story hanging. Mark wanted to finish with the empty tomb and the simple, stunning message that Jesus was raised to life. We get to carry on the story. We get to, in some ways, write our own ending. If we have shared in Jesus' death, participated in it as Jesus was suggesting we should when he inaugurated the memorial we know as the Lord's Supper, we shall too share in his resurrection, in his resurrection life. The way up is by going down. The way to gain life is to lose it, or be prepared to lose it. And that's perhaps how we feel this Easter. This Easter, celebrating resurrection, probably feels different. And maybe feels, maybe we feel less like celebrating this year, this Easter, when there's so much uncertainty, so much is unknown, so much fear for the future. And it might feel almost as if we are still in the tomb with Jesus, as if we're still waiting for resurrection and unsure of what it will look like when it comes. And that's probably how Jesus' disciples felt that first Easter morning. Even when they heard the rumours that Jesus was alive, they weren't sure what it meant. They weren't sure it was really true. And if it was, they weren't sure what it would mean, what it would change, what it would signal. As we celebrate this strangest of Easters, as we wait for what follows this period of fear and uncertainty, as we figure out how we live as God's people, not only during this challenging time, but as we emerge into the light of a new and changed world, as it will undoubtedly be, let us not cling to the past and to what served us well. To depart briefly from Mark's account to John's account and to Mary Magdalene, who, when she realised she was in the presence of the living Jesus, not the gardener, tried to cling on to Jesus, but was told by him, "Don't cling to me, but go and tell." Let's not cling to the past, but embrace the future, God's future and our future, with open minds and open hearts. Open to what God is wanting to lead us into as Easter people and as kingdom people. For now, may we know the joy of Easter despite the strangeness of the times. May we share in Jesus' victory. Paul says in writing to the young church in Colossae that in this way, through Christ's death and resurrection, he, God, disarmed the spiritual rulers and authorities. He shared them publicly by his victory over them on the cross. May we be passionate for God's rule and reign on earth as in heaven, for the kingdom that Jesus established and for its increase. And may we know the power of God, the same power that raised Jesus from the dead in our lives each and every day. Happy Easter. Christ is risen. He is risen indeed.